I need to know what you would have done if you walked into your gym at 4 in the morning and the bitch at the front desk that clearly doesn't like you told you to have a horrible workout. So story time. I've been going to this gym for about 1.5 years now, and when I first started going there, I obviously didn't know any of the people at the front desk. So when I went in one morning and she was at the front desk, I had greeted her and I said, hey, good morning. And she was just on her cell phone, and she looked up at me when I said it and then looked back down at her cell phone. So, noted. The next day, the days after, I never greeted her because obviously she's not a girl's girl, so why would I give her any of my energy? So there's been tension ever since that. Not tension where I go and say anything. It's just I just know that she's not a girl's girl and she don't fuck with me like that, so why am I gonna say good morning to her? All right, so after that situation, not every day that this happens, but I have seen and witnessed her at the front desk talking with the employees there and casually looking over, kind of giggling, laughing, staring in my direction. So it's been clear that she talks about me with the people at the front desk, but it's to me, I'm not trying to start any problems because, girl, I can't afford that, right? So, I brushed it off. I haven't said anything. I've seen it, but whatever, right? There was another time that I walked into the gym and okay, my bad, my light went out, but deal with it. So a couple days later, maybe weeks later, I walked into the gym and that same girl and another guy that works there were talking. So when I was approaching the desk, the guy stopped talking, as you should as an employee, and greeted me and said, hi, good morning, and helped me scan in. And so I was like, oh, thank you. And he's like, have a great workout. And then I proceed to go into the gym, and the girl really loud says, before I was rudely interrupted. It took everything out of me to not say or do anything, just let me tell you. So that was another incident before the incident. So then a couple weeks later, there's been more instances where she'll look at me and dog me and whatever. Very petty things that I can get over. But I walked in one morning, and as I was approaching the desk, again, the same guy and that girl were talking at the front desk. And I walk in, and again, the guy greets me and says, hi, good morning, then says, have a good workout. And I said, thanks. And I walked away. And as I walked away, the girl said, more like a horrible workout. I don't know why, but I turned around so fast and I took my headphone off and was like, what did you say? And she's like, nobody was even talking about you. And the guy was had his cell phone open, and she was like, I was over here talking to him, and going on and on and on and on, if I'm crazy. And mind you, while this is going on, the guy that she was sitting next to that works there was looking down at his phone. So that says a lot. That's your little employee friend, and he's looking down as somebody's confronting you about something that you didn't say. So that already had told me a lot. I know I'm not crazy, I know what I heard. So anyway, we kind of start going back and forth, and the guy puts his head down on the front desk as he's looking at his phone, y'all can handle that, because he knows that I was not in the wrong, right? So anyway, she keeps denying it, and I said, no, what did you say? And she's like, nobody was even talking about you, trying to make it seem like I am just making things up. I'm hearing things. And I told her, I was like, no, I heard what you said. You said to have a horrible workout. I'm like, really? Really? I'm gonna be in high school, So anyway, she is looking at me no, denying it. And I said, look, I really wanted to crash out. I really wanted to crash out. But all these things started running in my head. Girl, I have way too much to lose. So I really just looked at her and was like, you really need to keep it professional if you want to keep your job. And you know what she said? Nothing. And I walked away and continued with my workout. Because God forbid.
Me 16 at time. Me go to truck meet with me friends. Me meet guy there. Guy talk about cars. Me like cars. Me go to abandoned hotel with guy next day and friends. Guy very nice, guy flirty with me. Me don't want relationship though. Me eventually go to concert with guy. Guy very nice, guy buy me food, guy sing, guy dance with me. Me love sing, me love dance. Time go on. Me lock in with guy. Guy seemed so nice, so me lock in with guy. Guy seemed like he loved me. Guy start to get a little aggressive. Me no like aggression. Me say, why you do that, guy? Guy say, just how I joke. Me say, okay. Time go on. Guy start to beat me. Guy start off by punch me in the face. When guy get mad, me say, why you do this, guy? Oh my, me taken back. Guy say, he won't do it again. Me say, okay. Time go on. Guy low-key dirty. Guy nasty when guy get comfortable. Guy no brush teeth for 4 weeks. Guy leave toothbrush and sleep over backpack from guy friend's house. Me say, ew. Me sister tell guy because me too nice to tell guy. Guy wonder why me no kiss him. Guy no shower. Guy no put deodorant on. Guy no clean room. Guy dad get mad at me for no clean room. Me say, me no maid. But guy dad think me maid. Time go on. Guy start to beat me even more. Guy do arm bars on me, and I cry. I say, stop, guy. Guy no stop. Guy start rip me hair out. Guy choke me badly. One time, guy punched me like this in me nose. Me start gushing blood out my nose. Me scream. Me start crying. Guy say, guy did it on accident. Time go on. Guy very aggressive. Me very sad. Me 107 pounds, most me ever weighed in me life. Me end up being 88 pounds. Me throwing up so much from guy. Guy know me throw up because guy. But guy just stopped feeding me. I was with guy. Me with guy all the time. Me at guy's house every day. Every single day. So guy stopped feeding me. Me sad, but me know if I eat, me throw up anyways. Time go on. Me encounter very bad time. Guy get mad, me laugh. Guy say me laugh annoying. Me laugh no annoying. Why can't me laugh? Guy say, stop laughing. Me say, why? Guy get very mad. Guy grab me by my hair. Guy rip my hair out. Me say, no, stop. Guy rip my nails off. Guy rip my earring out. Me sad. Me like, what the heck? Me try to push guy off because me never fought guy. Me no violent. Guy grab me by my throat. Guy slam me into a wooden headboard over and over again. Me pass out. Me thought me gon' die. Me no die. Me wake up, me cry. Me stand up for myself for once. Me say, 'cause guy cry. Me say, why the fuck are you crying? Guy get weird. Guy say, because I didn't mean to hurt me. Guy no mean to hurt me? Guy mean to hurt me. Me eventually break up with guy. Me say, no more guy. Guy bad. Guy tell everyone he never put his hands on me. Me angry. Me really angry. Me text guy. Me say, you better never lie, guy. You can say whatever you want about me, guy. But don't lie on what you fucking did. Me got proof. Me got pictures. Me got videos. Me got everything.
There's a lady who always checks to see if my boyfriend and I are still dating because she wants her daughter to date my boyfriend. And she tells me all the time. She doesn't come up to me anymore because the last time I saw her, I was like, can your daughter fight? And I was joking. And then she never said a word to me about it again, so. But the first time I met her, I was talking to my boyfriend, walked away, and then she was like, you must be Josh's girlfriend. And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh my god, like, Josh is so sweet, Josh is so handsome, we love Josh, Josh is perfect, Josh is great. And I'm like, oh my god, like, yeah, thank you, blah, blah, blah. But then she was like, oh, I was so bummed to hear he had a girlfriend because I really wanted him to date my daughter, like, they would be so cute together, like, she thinks he's hot. I'm not the jealous type, so I was just like, okay, interesting. It wasn't really a big deal, but then she did it again the next time I saw her, like a month later. She was like, oh, you guys are still together. Yes, we're still together. And then she did it again, like every time I would see her, she's like, oh, Josh is so great, Josh is so sweet, you know, my daughter really thinks he's cute. And I'm like, okay. So the last time she did it, I was like, okay, can she fight? Can she fight? Can she? And that was it. So people say violence isn't the answer. I don't know.
Okay guys, I just wanted to address something that's very problematic. I'm on my secret account right now because honestly, I'm afraid to post this on my main account, and I'll get into why. So essentially, I was scrolling on my TikTok For You page and the story time pops up, and it is this teacher, and I'm gonna show her at and like who she is and everything. But essentially, it is this teacher talking about how she had this experience with one of her former students who at the time was 19, who had come and asked her out on a date. And she was just telling the story about like how this happened, and like I just felt like something was off about her story. Like, to me, it didn't seem authentic, and so I left a comment, and the comment wasn't suggesting you're lying. I didn't say you're lying, or I didn't say I agree with you. All I said in the comment was, this seems off, ... If you're gonna post a story time like this on TikTok, like, you should expect people to have different opinions about what you did and what you're explaining. So I just stated my opinion, if it was an opinion at all. All I said was, this seems off. And then I don't think much of it. I go about my day. So I go to run errands for about like 3 to 4 hours, and I haven't checked my TikTok since. I come home, and then I open up my TikTok, and it says that my TikTok has been age restricted. Mind you, I am perfectly well within the age range that I should not be restricted on TikTok, but I've had this account literally since Musical.ly, so I didn't understand. I've never gotten any like reports or like anything happened in my account until now, and I'm like, why is this? There's like, if you don't know, usually TikTok doesn't like notice your account unless somebody has reported you for something. And I'm like, that's so weird. So it took away my TikTok shop. I don't know what other features it did. Like, my TikTok seems normal except for like that my TikTok shop is gone. But I go back to see that my comment has blown up on her TikTok. And people are like replying to comments saying, I agree with you, like, this does seem off. Like, I'm not the only one. Like, if you go through her comments, like, literally everybody's talking about how this is so like not authentic at all. And that's when it clicked that like I've never left a hate comment on anybody's post ever, and this was like the first time I left something that wasn't like entirely positive, and then my account gets restricted. It's giving, you reported my comment. And in my opinion, if you're gonna try to like remove comments and like ban people's accounts that are leaving hate comments, or like try to silence people who believe opposite, it just makes you look more guilty. In my opinion, this whole story that she told, it wasn't necessary for you to tell this story on TikTok, because it just draws more attention to you. It draws more attention to this situation that I think this could open an investigation about the situation, because it just seems like weird. But I guess it's like technically legal. I don't really know the rules because the guy was 19, so he was technically like a consenting adult, but like I don't know what happened there. All I'm saying is that she tried to silence me, and I didn't even say anything. All I said was, this seems off. So yeah, she's not very famous at all, but I just thought that that was weird, and like I just think that this needs to be brought to awareness, because I don't really know what happened in that situation, but if she's trying to silence me when I think she's lying, it's kind of giving something's up there. So yeah,
I just got name shamed in CVS for my son's name. I'm at the counter picking up his medicines, and they go like name, birthday, everything, and I say whiskey, and this lady next to me is like, his medication's not quite ready yet, I have to go sit down. She sits down next to me because her medicine isn't ready yet either, and she goes, you'll really name your son anything, huh? And I'm like thriving in this moment because she does not know. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's kind of the beauty of like naming, is you could literally name anything you want. And she's like, yeah, but don't you think like Wissy's gonna be a horrible name for him to go through school with? Like, aren't people gonna bully him? And I'm like, well, he's a dog, so I don't think so. But thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Some of the things my ex did, and I still stayed. Disclaimer at the end, there will be a happy ending. I cut contact, and I'll tell you my final straw. Not in any specific order, we're starting from the top of the list. He said, if you yourself, make sure you do it in front of me so I can use you while you're still warm. When we first broke up, he told me to myself and that I'm a worthless, and he also told me that I was weird and annoying. My first time doing anything with any guy was with him, and I was like 13 years old. He held me down as I begged him to stop. And he refused to use protection, and he refused to pull out. Anyways, he also had my close friend post a picture of them in her bed together, like, right before we broke up or right after we broke up, I'm not sure, like, that week. Yeah, when we had started seeing each other again, which he actually ended up having a secret girlfriend and lied about, which I found out at a football game. Anyways, I texted him that night and was like, do you have a girlfriend? Because I saw you with da-da-da at the football game. And he's like, well, it's not that serious. I didn't think you should know. I was like, anyways, while we were seeing each other, before I found out that, he forced me to take and pay for a Plan B. I think he should have paid for it. I also paid for all the protection, too. I paid for everything. Would take me on dates just to... They were not dates. They were just little tactics to, like, yeah, hit third base. I paid for everything. I paid for the food. Like, he was acting like he was gonna pay, but I was like, nah, let me pay, whatever. Because, like, low-key a bitch broke. Drove me to a top of a hill. No people out there. We ended up doing things, but while we were doing things, he ended up holding a knife to my throat. A little weird. Me until I almost passed out. That was also really scary. After we had broke up, he told all his friends that I was crazy and I did him dirty and that, like, I was seeing other people. I talked to no men because I was so committed to him, bro. I talked to nobody. I cut off my friends for him, bro. Anyways, he told everyone I was a crazy cheater, and he told everyone that we had sex, which was really embarrassing because I had just gone into freshman year. So called me when we were and slapped me really hard. Slapped me really hard across the face, like, a lot of times. Like, it left marks really hard. Also, right after I confronted him about having a girlfriend, he asked for me to send him pictures in my sleepwear. And I was like, why don't you ask Dara? And he was like, because she doesn't have any. Bitch, that's your girl. Like, what? And for my final straw, he texted me one day randomly saying, come outside. I was like, no, I don't think so. He kept texting me, come outside, come outside, come outside. I was like, no. And then my mom and sister left, and I was like, fine, I'll come outside, because he, like, kept asking me over and over and over again. So I came outside, and there he was on a bike, because he said he had a surprise. I was like, okay, is this your surprise, a fucking motorcycle? And he's like, get on. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, rev it. I'm like, okay. I revved the bike. I'm like, okay, I really gotta go. My mom's about to be home. And she was not about to be home. My mom, like, was not being home soon at all. And then he was like, I really need some water. Can I come inside and get some? I'm like, oh, I'm actually out of water. I leave, go inside. I left my phone with him. Oh, crap. I'm panicking. I'm texting him off my iPad on Snap because I never even got his number within, like, 4 years we were a thing. 5 years. I don't know. Long time. Since, like, 8th grade. So he comes back eventually. I open my door. He's standing right there. I'm like, I get a little scared. I'm like, okay. And then he comes inside. I'm like, oh, you can't come inside. There's cameras. And he comes inside anyways. And I get my phone back. Thank God. I get my phone back. He proceeds to try to rip my shirt off. Like, he, like, pulls it off me. Tries to, like, almost rip it off. I was like, you need to go. And I ended up getting him some water. Because I was like, here, now you can leave. And he's like, no. I was like, yes, goodbye. The door is, like, literally right there. You can leave, like, right now. And no, he just fucking grabbed my boobs. I was like, bro. And so that was my final straw. I didn't see him since then. We did text for a few months after that, but I, like, ghosted him, kind of. And then I eventually just unadded him, so, because I was talking to a new guy. New guy, where you at? Not answering my fucking texts. Undelivered fucking 3 hours. Active just now. Pissed me off.
Story time on how I ruined this girl's birthday. Let me preface this by saying, like, I don't know what I did wrong. I never got closure from this whole situation. And I just thought, like, you know, after a year, let me just ask y'all, like, what would you do if you were put in this situation? Okay, so boom. It's 3 characters. Me, my wife, her best friend. We're just gonna keep it like that. My wife is my wife. Her best friend is her best friend. Okay, cool. So, little backstory. My wife and her best friend, they have been best friends since middle school, damn near diapers. Like, they was always super duper close, super duper locked in. And I was super excited to meet her. They would always FaceTime, they would always talk. It would always be super cordial, super nice, super endearing, like they were sisters type. And then her mom was super nice as well. It was like my wife's second mom in a way. She would let us come over, she would cook for us, she would even let us spend the night because our parents, you know, they wasn't on that gay shit. So boom, her best friend's birthday comes up and they're doing the plans for it. Everybody's talking about their outfits and everything. But me, I'm not even thinking nothing of it because I know since I don't know her, I wasn't expecting to be a part of the plans. My wife being my wife, she not going nowhere without me, so she had to make sure that it was cool with her best friend that I joined the festivities. Me, I'm super excited because I finally get to meet her best friend that she speaks so highly of. So, fast forward to her actual birthday, they ended up getting an Airbnb, and the plan was to go out and then just come back and chill. So at the time, I was at work. So the goal was to get off work and just meet them at whatever place they decided to go to. Now, let me also preface this by saying, since at the time I was a lead concierge, I had on like a business casual outfit. A long sleeve button up with floral little pattern, and then I had a tennis skirt that was white, and then I had some heels. This is what I was wearing to work, and I didn't have time to change. Okay, cool. It's finally time for me to get off work. My wife, she sends me the low. It's luckily like 7 minutes away from where I was at, so I'm like, okay, bet. I pull up, I have to parking like $10. I'm like, ugh, whatever. Just pay it, I park. Now I gotta walk a mile to the club. Okay, cool. Finally get to the club, and I notice it's like 2 clubs in one. So you first get in there, it's like a bunch of tables, a bar, everybody chilling, eating, vibing. And then you go down some stairs, and it's like a whole party going on. It's a dance floor, it's a DJ, some loud ass speakers. It's like the turn up central going on. So I'm like, okay, bet. I come in dancing with the vibes. I'm excited because it's her birthday. This is the day of her birthday. Let me also preface and say, I asked my wife, are you sure you want me to meet her on her birthday? Because I know how it is on our birthday. Like, as a girl, you just want everything to be about you and yada, yada, yada. I didn't want to, intervene in any way, shape, or form because I know how it is. But my wife kept telling me, like, babe, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. She said it's cool, she said it's cool, she said it's cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. As soon as I turned that motherfucking corner, you would have thought they seen a motherfucking ghost. The way everybody just... Me still, I'm coming in smiling, excited. I'm like, hey, happy birthday. Like, hey, turn up. This is how everybody looking at me. I'm like, okay. So mind you, it's the birthday girl, which is my wife's best friend. She has 2 friends, and then it's my wife, and then it's a guy. So it's 5 of them. No fucking space for me to sit nowhere. So, because it's no space, my wife, she gets up. She's like, okay, let's just go to the section across from them because somebody's screwing over. We go across, and then I'm noticing, like, the vibes are so fucking weird. So I'm like, let me just roll up. Finish rolling up. Everybody finally come to where we at. So now we all sitting along the section like this. It's like one long row of seats. Me, because I know, whenever it's time to spark up, it's courtesy to pass that bitch. Puff, puff, pass. I'm not a rude bitch, so I'm always going to share, especially if you are 420 friendly, the more the merrier. So I pass it to the birthday girl's friend. I tap her real lightly, like, hey, girl, did you want to hit this? And she was like, oh, yeah. So she hit the blunt a couple times. She passed it back to me. So then I reach past, I'm like, excuse me, and I try to get the birthday girl's attention. Y'all, you would have thought I pinched the bitch. The way she sized me up and down, like I spit on her or something, you would have thought I did something. All I did was tap her like, hey, did you want to hit the blunt? So after she finally done sizing me up and down, she grabbed the blunt. I'm like, okay. Now I'm trying to turn up with my wife because I'm noticing they're not giving nothing over here. So we just turning up, we making videos, we just being cute. Y'all, it's time for her to pass me the blunt back. Girl. Next thing you know, all I feel is, damn, bitch. So I just turned, I'm looking like with my eyebrows all weird because why did you have to do all that? In the midst of her tapping me, I was kissing my wife because that is my wife. And if I want to give her a motherfucking kiss, I can give her a motherfucking kiss. I don't give a damn where we at. So I'm just like, damn, I grabbed the blunt back and I'm just puffing. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not trying to make the situation bigger than what it is because I can already feel the hostility literally suffocating me. Y'all, we puffing. We making videos, you know. Everybody just trying to make the best of the situation. Not even 5 minutes later, bitch, she just storms up and is like, you know what? I'm ready to go. Fuck this shit. This shit lame. Like, she just started going on a whole tangent. So before we can really, like, assess what's even going on, her friends and her, they all just storm off. So we just looking at each other like, okay. We proceed to follow. Y'all, it's like they ran out that bitch. It took us forever to catch up to them. Like, I don't know. Eventually, we catch up, and they are the way at the damn parking deck that I had to go to initially to pay for the parking. So, before I got there, my wife was the designated driver because everybody else was planning on getting drunk. My wife, she's not a drinker, so that was that. And since I got there, she just made it a big deal. We at the parking deck, she like, you know what? I'm just driving my own car. Fuck it. I'm driving my own car. My wife was the D&D, and she's already heavily drunk at this point. So my wife is like insinuating like, hey, you know, I don't mind driving you back. Like, it's cool. We all going to the same place, right? I'll just drive my own car. So at this point, I'm like, I'm finna take my ass home. But we all eventually, they get in their car, we get in our car, and we all go to the Airbnb. Of course, they got there before us because that bitch was doing 90 and a 20. Finally get there. I don't know what to do, so I'm just following my wife's lead. She telling me, like, let's go inside. I'm like, okay, girl. We go inside. As soon as we get inside, everybody run to the room. So they run to the room. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to roll up again because it's tension, a lot of it, and I don't like tension. I don't like weird energy, especially when I came in with the best vibration possible. Finish rolling up. I go outside. I'm just, you know, smoking. Bitch. Why the fuck? My wife, she comes outside as I'm smoking. She like, babe, I don't know what's going on, but she is in there in tears, like bawling. She says she didn't want to meet you on her birthday. Her birthday is ruined. She don't understand, and yada, yada, yada. I damn near dropped the blunt. I'm so confuzzled, so confused, so mind-boggled. I didn't say 2 words to the girl, and now I ruined her birthday. So please tell me, what did I do wrong?
Story time, how I got arrested at 11 years old. So I don't really share this story a lot, only to like people I know, but someone asked for a story time, so let's go. So this all happened in 6th grade. It was about November, and there was a threat that someone was going to pew the school, if you know what I mean. So, as I heard, me and my friends went to the office and reported it, and we were like, hey, I heard someone's going to pew the school on Friday at like, I don't know, sometime. And I went home, and I was like, Mom, someone's going to pew the school. And she was like, it's fine, Keely, don't worry about it. And I was like, girl, I was worried. I was like, Mom, I'm not going to school. I was like, I don't want my friends going to school and they're going to get pewed up because, like, hello? This was also, like, 2 years ago. And so I posted on Snapchat, and I was like, guys, don't go to school on Friday. You're going to get pewed up in the school, and everyone's going to die. I didn't say that, but I was just like, don't go to school on Friday. At 12:30, someone's going to show up at school. Good luck, y'all. I probably shouldn't have added that good luck part because that, when I said good luck, it sounded like I was trying to pew up to school, but I was not trying to pew up to school. In no way was that my intentions. I was trying to protect and warn my friends that there was going to be at my school. Mind you, I was 11 years old. Like, I'm sorry, like, hello? And I have good grades. I'm not a bad student. Like, okay, so this was on a Wednesday, okay? And then that following day was a Thursday, and I was in first period, okay? And mind you, this lady, I've already had problems with her once. I got bullied at the beginning of the year, and she didn't take my side. Whatever. That's another short time. If y'all want to hear that, I can give that to y'all. But she came waddling into my first period, and she was like, Keely, get your stuff. You're coming with me. And I was like, who does this lady think she is? And mind you, we were allowed to be on our phones in that class. And my phone was, like, laying on the desk or whatever. And she said, is this yours? And I was like, yeah. And homegirl snatched my phone. She picked it up and she started walking with. I was like, whoa, slow down, hon. I was like, am I in trouble? Because I didn't know what was going on. I was 11. Mind you, I was 11 years old. Okay. And then she took me into her office and she was like, Keely, what's your story about? And I was like, girl, what story? because I deleted it because people were like, they might think that something else, and I was like, okay, I'll just delete it. Anyways, but I was like, what story I deleted? All my stories, like, there was something on there. And then I was like, oh, about the school shooting? She's like, yeah, tell me about that. So she made me write a statement and stuff, and I was just like, I was literally just trying to protect my friends. Okay, and I started crying because I don't get in trouble. Like, I just literally don't. And that was like the first time I ever got in trouble, and that was the beginning of 6th grade. Like, I was an innocent little girl. It was literally in October. So I started crying, and she was like, oh, well, it sounded like you made the threat. And I was like, girl, okay. So after that, I was in her office for about an hour, and she was like, well, you can write a statement, and then we're gonna read it over, and we can see if we can get your mom involved or the cops. And I was like, well, the cops, hold on, pause. We don't need to get the cops involved. I was trying to protect my friends. Why are we getting the cops involved? Why are we getting the cops involved? And she was like, come, girl, take a seat. So I was there till like, I think it was like 10, yeah. I was in there from like 8 to 10, just sitting there. And they moved me to this other room with the door open. Or no, first the door was closed. And I just like heard people walking by. And then I heard my mom's voice. And then I got so scared, I was shivering in my boots. I started crying even more. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Because no one was telling me nothing. And then I see a cop. I was like, what? And then I see my mom. I was like, bro, what is going on? I was like, I didn't do nothing. Like, I've done 0 things. And the cops were like, come with me, Keely. And I was like, what did I do? Like, so I walked my big butt over there with them, and I was walking with my mom and the cops, and there was a cop and a detective, okay? And first of all, I didn't even know who this cop was. Anyways, I didn't know who this cop was, so that made me feel more nervous. And they had a freaking detective, like, what? Okay, and it was the detective and my mom. And me and my mom were walking, and I was like, the whole time I was crying, I was like, blowing my eyes. I was like, Mom, I didn't do anything. I didn't do nothing, I promise. Like, I didn't do anything. And then they got me to the cop car, and they're like, Keely, you're getting arrested for terroristic threat. What? Terroristic threat? When did I make a threat, honey? Okay, anyways, but they put me back in the cop car, and they're like, we're gonna handcuff you, but loosely. And I was like, handcuff me? What am I gonna do? Run away? Actually, hold on, okay. But like, still. And they handcuffed me, I was like this. I was just sitting in the back of the cop car. And it was like a kind of long drive. Well, it actually wasn't, but it felt like a long drive. And I was bawling my eyes out. It was traumatizing. Like, I'm laughing about it right now, but if I could give a deeper detail, I'd be crying right now. Anyways, so they got me to the police station, and they had some lady, I don't know who she was. I mean, she was low-key nice, but I don't know who she was. I think she was like a juvenile detention officer or something like that. But they started asking me all these questions and stuff, and they were like, well, we can either send you home tonight, or we could take you to juvie. And I was like, girl, what? And they were like, take you to juvie for the night. And I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to juvie. So they took my fingerprints. Oh, I forgot to mention that. They had me do like fingerprints on all my fingers. So I don't know. Anyways, so after that day, we were there for like until like 4 into the afternoon. It was so traumatizing. I was crying for literally like a whole day. It was so bad. But then I had a 3-day suspension and LDMC. I wasn't too worried about the 3-day suspension, but we went to talk to the same lady that got me arrested, which I don't know why we just didn't go to the principal, because it wasn't even the principal, it was the assistant principal. Okay, and we talked to her 3 different times, explained my story, explained what I was thinking, like explained all my feelings, and she was like, no, you're going to LDMC, I don't care. Which LDMC is our like detention, like if you get caught vaping or something, you go there or something like that. Or if you like make a kid bleed in a fight or something, or if you bring like a weapon to school, you go there. It's like the alternative school. And they sent me there for 30 days. And most kids, when they go, they get halftime. I didn't get halftime. They thought I was a criminal. I didn't do anything. But they thought I was a whole criminal and stuff. And so we talked to that lady 3 different times. Okay, 3 times. 3. And they were like, okay, no. She wasn't giving me any grace. She was like, you're saying LDMC, I don't care. Like, I'm sorry. Oh. So we went to talk to the principal, the actual principal, like the person that runs the school. Okay, guess what she did? She took me out of LDMC because she was like, girl, you didn't even do anything. Like, I literally did nothing. She was like, girl, you didn't do anything. You can get out of there. I'll get you out. You can go to school tomorrow. So the next day I was in school. Okay, and then this is where the story gets good. So after I was in school, I still had my charges and everything. Like, I got charged with terroristic threat or whatever, and I was still on my record. So in my brain, I wasn't going to college. No, college was bye-bye down the drain. Right. But about a few days later, they called us to the juvenile detention center, and I explained my story, I explained my side, and they were like, yeah. And they took my, like, thing to court, and they got it back, and they were like, okay, you didn't do anything, this was all unnecessary, and all your charges are dropped. So they put me through all of that trauma for 0 reason. So I had went through all of that, and I still had the trauma and all this stuff. It was for what? Just for me to get my charges dropped? So yeah, that's my story time on the last video. I can make so many other story times on 6th grade year because it was really the worst year of my life. And that's literally the reason why I've moved towns and everything. So if y'all want more story times, just tell me that and I will give them to y'all. So that's it. Bye.
I'm disgusted by this here. This does not make me feel welcome.
When I was a junior in high school, I reported a student-teacher relationship happening in one of my classes to our SRO, and instead of the administration taking that seriously and investigating that teacher, I was pulled into the office, threatened to be removed, told that I was a bully and to keep my mouth shut or there would be consequences for me, and then they removed that SRO from our school. Let's talk about it. It was 2007, and I attended a large public high school in North Texas, and I decided that I was going to join the FFA in order to take the veterinary technician class in order to obtain my CVA, because my whole goal in life was to be in veterinary medicine, and I still am in some capacity. It was a very small class. There was less than 10 of us, a few guys, a handful of girls, and our teacher was a male in his mid-20s. One of the main goals of this class was to use our knowledge and skills and go compete in Houston, Texas against other students across the state. Naturally, I was super excited about this competition and this class. As I said, veterinary medicine has always been my passion, and so this was something I was very excited about. Me and several other students in my class had started to notice this one particular student making odd comments and then different things happening around the classroom that seemed very suspicious. At first, it was a little bit of a joke, and then we started noticing some truly concerning things. One of the first things that happened was the teacher's bridal portrait of his wife that was on display in his office was no longer on display. The windows in the classroom, both the door that came into the classroom and the window that separated his office from the classroom, were continuously covered up with paper and different posters and things. And we started taking them down every day, only for them to be covered up the next day. We often saw the student down at that end of the school. It was kind of a secluded spot, and she was always in his office, and we even saw her car parked next to his vehicle outside of the school after school hours on multiple occasions. As we got closer to the competition, the teacher started to be a little more checked out about the material, and honestly, I was working in a clinic at the time, and so I was going through a lot of the material with my classmates on our own. So the day finally arrives that we leave to go to Houston. The teacher was the only chaperone on this trip because it was a small group of us, and so for some reason, even though there was majority girls, he was the only one, I guess, required to go. And because it was such a small group of us, we traveled down to Houston in like an expedition. There was a taller guy in our class, and so he was naturally going to take the shotgun seat. And when he went to do so, this student absolutely lost her mind in front of everyone, threw the biggest toddler tantrum about not being able to sit shotgun with our teacher. So the teacher gave in. She rode shotgun. And because we had a super early competition, we went down the night before. And so we had a hotel room, and it was all the girls in one room, the guys in another room, and then the teacher had his own hotel room separately. As girls do, since we had an early competition, we discussed the night before the logistics of who was showering when and planned accordingly. So the next morning we woke up and quickly realized that that student was no longer in our room. We couldn't get in touch with her. We couldn't get in touch with our teacher. We even walked over to the boys' room. I don't even think that we knew where the teacher's room was situated, but nobody knew where that student was. So we proceeded to get ready, and all of a sudden that student walks back into the room, fully dressed and ready, even though she had not been in our room, and said, "Man, that teacher looks like hell this morning." To which I said, "Why do you know what our teacher looks like this morning?" She just kind of brushed me off and didn't really answer me, along with any other comments or questions that were directed towards her during this time by any of us. She just kind of ignored us and wouldn't answer. So we get done with the competition. She rides shotgun back. And then just more and more interactions started to become suspicious. And so I decided that I was going to talk to our SRO, who I had already known prior to attending this school, because I have family in law enforcement and I happened to actually know him before I was ever enrolled there. When I spoke with him, unfortunately, it was outside of a office, because that office was being used by another student or something like that at the time. And so I just remember talking to him out in like a back hallway of our school. He took me very seriously and said that he was going to report it to the school and open an investigation against the teacher. Now, hindsight, as I'm in my 30s, I have several questions that I wish I would have known or had the mind to ask, and I would love to go back and figure it out now and like why things worked the way that they did, but here's how it did work. Apparently, when I was talking to this SRO, our principal happened to be around the corner and heard me talking to him. So shortly after I made that report, I found myself being called into the principal's office and being sat down by the principal and the assistant principal and told that I was being accused of bullying this student, and that if I didn't keep my mouth shut, I would be removed from the class, which again, I was excited to be in and wanted to obtain my CVA. And so I kept my mouth shut. Then I realized the SRO that I made that report to was also no longer anywhere to be found, and a new SRO was there in his place. I followed up with that SRO and was told that that investigation was very quickly open and closed. He also expressed to me at the time that he did not agree with the fact that that investigation was open and closed. So we go through the rest of the school year and my senior year, and I graduate. There was still weird things happening with that teacher. It was always not good. I actually just kind of kept in touch with this SRO on and off after that year, and then after I graduated, I got a phone call from him, and he said, "Hey, I have an update for you." He said, "Do you remember the teacher that you reported to me that the investigation very conveniently got open and closed?" I said, "Yes, I sure do. Is he in jail yet?" And he said, "Yes, he is, but not for that student. He got caught with that student's 15-year-old sister." So you can still find that teacher's mugshot to this day. I did Google him. I'll put a picture. If you happen to know what school that was, it probably wouldn't be too hard to find. And you would also find that that school had been through another recent scandal. And I think, that's probably why this got swept under the rug. Although the scandal that happened before was with the cheerleaders and nothing to do with this. So it was a completely separate issue that should have been taken more seriously and investigated, obviously, because this teacher pursued young women. So in light of several stories that I've seen lately with things about schools and teachers and just several things that have come across my FYP, I just wanted to share my story because I was silenced so long ago, and it was in fact happening, and I was not bullying her. I was just trying to do the right thing. I also now have a friend that actually went back to work for this high school that we went to, and that principal is no longer there either, although he was there for quite some time. I'll put his picture here too, just in case. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story, and let's stop enabling these predators. Okay, thanks, bye.